The reverse north ride in Dallas/Richardson/Allen, Plano, North Texas. Here we are on Orr Road, and it was a beautiful day. Nice cool weather. I think it was in the 60s Fahrenheit. This is a rough patch of road here. It floods through here when it rains really hard, and the road gets destroyed with potholes, and they fix it up. This really ought to be renamed the Iron Taint North version, after the segment at White Rock Lake called the Iron Taint. This is like an Iron Taint section that is 100 times longer than that one, so I think this one deserves a little bit more notoriety. We had a small group today, and I don't know how you guys do it in your part of the world, but with the changing seasons, I guess some of you may live in the equator and times don't really change and you don't have seasons, and daylight doesn't get shorter or longer, but the days are getting shorter for us. So today was the first day to switch from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And not everyone got the memo, or people did not agree with the memo. I think it was mostly people didn't agree with the memo. People want to start early, like it's a little bit early in the year to be going to 9 a.m. They want to get up, finish their ride so they can watch football or do whatever it is they do, and they just don't want to start at 9 a.m. until it's too cold to start at 8 a.m. And you can see today, none of us are in arm warmers or anything. It's not too cold. Just a really pretty day from a temperature standpoint. So we didn't have nearly the shelter today. I made the comment that it was going to be impossible for me to not take a pull on this ride today, going about 60 miles. When you have 8 guys or whatever, pretty much you have to take a pull. Anyway, we kind of usually sometimes, this is kind of like a go zone here on Orr Road, where people tend to go harder and then regroup at the end of the road. Here's Jim on my left, one of the OG North Ride guys, and Steve Chisholm on the right, the notorious, infamous, and renowned Chisholm. Neil in the middle there in the yellow, Rafa. And of course, king of the off-season, in front of him somewhere, Kimmeth. Robert on the left, going up the road, and a car doing a dangerous pass. That's one thing you have to watch out in this section, is impatient cars going through blind turns, making dumb maneuvers. So here we go through our right-hander, and this is nice because this stretch of road is paved well without any potholes yet. Really kind of cruise here. Right after this, we're gonna do Enloe, and Enloe. So we kind of have like 2 go zones right after the other, with a very short interlude in between. And Enloe is maybe more contested. I mean, not that it's always. Yeah, it is always contested. It's always contested, but I did 4K today. That's something, right? I can't believe that my GoPro session is still alive. It's barely still alive, and I don't know what I'm going to do when this GoPro gives out, because I kind of like the session. It's small. I don't know that I want to get a big full-size $400 GoPro. I've yet to, my income from YouTube doesn't really support getting another GoPro. So that income level being 0, of course. But anyway, we'll see what happens. The session, unbelievably, still has, I'm really surprised that the battery has not died. My Cycle IQ Fly 6 battery is in the process of dying. It certainly doesn't hold a charge. I think it may hold like an hour-and-a-half charge. It's supposed to hold like a 6-hour charge, so it's way on the... I've looked up videos on how to replace the battery, but haven't done it yet. But anyway, why am I talking about this? Nobody cares about that. Look at this huge gap. So, as you can imagine, when you have 40 guys doing the group. It's a little this ride. It's a little bit different through here, but there's still usually big gaps that open up. Come on, Steve, you're supposed to pull me back. You can't just sit up. Steve's really looking forward to watching Texas Tech get blown out by Texas. Of course, at the time he didn't realize, I'm in the future now as the narrator. At the time he didn't realize that Tech would be blown out. But it seemed enticing on Saturday at about 10:30 a.m. to watch that game in real time, not tape delayed or DVR delayed or whatever you want to call it. So here we are at the end of this little segment, and in just a second we'll pop over to Enloe because I stopped the camera at this point. Coming up here, a couple guys peel off here, didn't stay with us. There's Andrew. He's right there in the red helmet on the right, just getting started there. Blue kit, the one that's directly in front of me. So I'll mention him a little bit more on the Enloe segment here in just a second. Okay, here we are. We've just turned left onto Enloe. And this is a little stretch. It goes by the airport. It's kind of become this traditional, does a ride that's really not that old even have traditions? I mean, this ride is what, less than a year old? Anyway. It used to be the North Ride, now it's the reverse North Ride. It's a reverse route of what used to be a traditional North Ride. But this was never part of the North Ride. This was an added-on segment that a few people have kind of found and decided to add to the trip, and it became popular, and so we do it. And I've posted up several videos of this segment. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Andrew here, because Andrew's a really crafty bike rider. And I should have popped on to race results and I should tell you definitively what category Andrew is. I think he's a Cat 1. I'm pretty sure he's a Cat 1. And so he's by far the most senior racer in our small little group here. And the whole bit, highest category, most results. At the last or second to last Tuesday night crit in Richardson, which is one of the two major local crits in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Sorry, I hope I didn't offend the Fort Worth crit. That's the third crit, but that's definitely not the two major crits. But anyway, he was on the podium for the A crit, i.e. the Cat 1, 2, 3 criterion. So that's a good result for anyone, and that means I think he's got some decent form. I asked him about it later on in this ride, and he said that the Thursday night crit, i.e. the Fair Park crit, over near downtown Dallas, that he was in the winning break, or the way he put it was he made the break. I assume it was the winning break. He made the break on both of those crits, but did not podium. So that tells me he's on good form. And so he's by far the person that would be favored in our small group here to finish first on this segment. So we'll see what happens here. And the roads here are not so great, in terms of road quality, pavement quality, although they've done a little bit of repairs. And it's also kind of dangerous here. I mean, in terms of watching out for traffic coming from the opposite direction. And you got this rippled road here that quite bumpy. Anyway, let's see who the protagonist. So we know who the protagonist is. That's Andrew, who's just right in front of me with torches on his rear end. And you might be in a group with him and you'd say, who's this guy with unshaven legs? Well, that's Andrew. So kind of the unusual combination of unshaven legs and Cat 1. But he's also, by the way, a cycling coach and coaches at the local private high school. So he's a big supporter of youth cycling and that kind of thing. So he knows his craft. And it's been fun to have him on this ride because he's really a fish out of water on this ride. I would say he's too good for this ride, but people like him usually don't ride on rides that I do. So you can see that I didn't take that corner nearly as fast. I'm trying to be careful to not slide out into that lane, plus I'm not good at taking corners in general. But I had to burn a little bit of a match as I let that gap open and had to catch on. So our other people here, we have Neil in the yellow right in front, and just me sitting on wheels, and I'm not exactly sure what's going on behind me, but I believe Kimmeth is on my wheel because he's still going to be in play in this coming up. And we have, as I recall, mild wind from the north. Yeah, it was definitely a wind from the north because that's going to come into play as well. So right now we're headed directly north into a mild-ish wind, but we're somewhat sheltered here with these trees, I think. So anyway, here we are on the smoother pavement finally, and here's Kimmeth coming up to take a pull. And as far as tactics, would it be better if Kimmeth had just attacked? Normally you would say yes, but I'm not so sure that's the case because I think Andrew can just mark that. I think he can mark anything that we do. I don't think I don't think there's an attack that any of us could make that he probably couldn't mark. So Kimmeth being on the front, it'd be interesting what would have happened had Kimmeth not gone to the front, and would Andrew have just pulled the whole way? That I don't know. He likes a little tactical action, and he's done some interesting tactics that have made me in the past think, oh, that's interesting, I wouldn't have thought of that. He's crafty. And so that's always fun when you ride with someone who's crafty, because you can learn from someone who's crafty, because they have craft and you don't. And when it's good to learn the craft. So there goes Neil. You can see that Andrew's on his wheel immediately. So we're getting fairly close to the end here, and there goes Andrew. So you can notice that Andrew, he doesn't stay in where he was. He goes immediately into the gutter, and we are guttered here. I am guttered. There is a bit of a crosswind here, and I don't want to be right on this wheel in the gutter. I'm on a group ride. It's dangerous. There's just a lot more chance. So I am not getting much of a draft at all. So I'm really kind of hurting here, and we're going to make a left-hand turn here in just a second with the bend in the road. Now I'm getting a little bit of a draft as we're sheltered and able to get on this wheel. He's not quite in the gutter. So, when you're racing, we're not racing, but when you're racing, getting in the gutter is a useful tactic. So here we are. I didn't ever just, put in a full effort to try and pass him. And here I just sit up. So, kind of, I don't know, you can argue failed tactics on my part for not attempting a pass there, but what do I say? I really had to pee, so I had to turn off the camera and pee right now. Old man, what can I say? Prostate, bladder, whatever. Colder ride, you gotta pee. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Hope you have a good day. Bye-bye.